Thank you, Presiding Officer. I'd like to begin by congratulating Ross Greer in securing this debate. I know we put a lot of effort into, and thank him for bringing this important issue to the Chamber. He stated that perhaps buses aren't we don't typify high political theatrics, I think was the term Mr Greer used. Well, I think if he's been door-knocking an election campaign in rural areas like Howwood and Lochwinnock and up the moor, he'll find it's a very pressing issue. And I know my own constituents have lost bus routes over the last 10 to 15 years in places like Howwood, Lochwinnock and up the moor. And I have met with bus companies, and what I've been struck by in this particular debate is this tension between private interest and public responsibility. It actually makes me think to some degree, I think it's analogous to the debate over bank branch closures. They are private enterprises, but they have a public good. And how do we get that balance correct? What is the correct approach? And I think the proposals that are likely to be outlined in the Transport Bill, including giving more flexibility and options to local authorities, is absolutely the correct way to go. I think what is important when considering this is actually looking at the broader context in which these decisions taken by First Bus and others have actually been taken in. We do know that there is worsening congestion, that car ownership has risen substantially in recent years. There's increasing costs. Bus operators are stating that costs are up 15% in the last 5 years. And important as well, bus journeys down by almost 15 million in the past 4 years. And the reasons behind that are obviously complicated. And as the bus operators themselves state, that 75% of the factors behind this drop in patronage they regard as being out of their control. So there's a duty there to go and maximise the appeal of public transport in all its particular forms. But I think, and I think Ross Greer was very effective in the way in which he highlighted the context in which the fare rises that have been proposed have actually been enacted and the particular groups in society which are most likely to be affected. He spoke of a generational inequality, and I think that's absolutely a really key point. I think it was allegedly Margaret Thatcher who said, it might have been someone else, who said that anyone riding in a bus over the age of 30 has failed in life. Well, I can say I'm over 30 and I proudly still use the bus. And I say but it is particularly generational. Young people, and particularly people who are elderly and retired. And it's a very difficult situation to square. I've found in engaging with bus companies locally, there's demand, but it's limited demand within village communities, and the bus companies simply say that we cannot justify this in terms of our commercial interest in running this. And I think clearly the point that Ross Greer makes is that it's important. Companies like bus companies, along with banks, do have a public duty. They do have a corporate responsibility, but they also have a commercial responsibility to their employees. And I say that as someone who in the Renfrewshire South constituency has McGill's depots in both Barrhead and in Johnston. So for me, my kind of view in this, I think a balance has to be struck. There has to be equity and fairness in fares. It takes cognizance of the ability to pay of key groups who use bus services. But equally, there has to be regard given to the sustainability of bus companies. And I look forward to the introduction of the Transport Bill and its means of ensuring and giving that flexibility to local governments, local authorities, so that we can create a bus service that's truly sustainable and benefits all of our constituents. Thank you.